Well, hello and welcome to Go Ballistic. The Scottish Suns look back at an amazing Boxing Day card. I'm Roger Hannah, with me, Sun Sports' Kris Boyd. Boydie, it's a season of goodwill to all men, unless, of course, those men are involved with Rangers, Hearts, Aberdeen, St Johnstone, and Dundee, because it was misery on Boxing Day, and no one more so than the Smiser. Rangers losing 2-1 to St Mirren. What did you make of it, and what does it mean for Philippe Clement?
He's under pressure, Roger. There's no doubt about it. I think Rangers' away form has been a disgrace, to be honest. When you look at it, you've picked up 10 points from a possible 24 away from home. You've scored 7 goals, and you've conceded 8. So Rangers are a minus goal difference away from home this so far this season from 8 games. It's no good enough. I think that you could point to the fact that Pittodrie, Celtic Park, Rugby Park, and St Mirren's, obviously the stadiums that Rangers have lost at. But I mean, you've lost 4 out of 8 away from home. I mean, we're not even at the new year. It's no good enough. And I think that I was never one for, I wasn't getting carried away for the recent upturn, shall we say, and Rangers' performances, plain and simply because the opposition that they were against, Rangers should be winning. But away from home, you wouldn't bet them with stolen money to win a game of football.
What does it say about the players? Because they were terrible in the first half. They're in 1-0 down at the break. They did rally and they had 2 or 3 chances and they got the equaliser. It was almost as if they thought that was job done and a point would be good enough in Paisley. What does that say about them?
I think, when you look at it, Roger, there's not many times that I can remember off the top of my head that, Rangers, you go behind and then all of a sudden you get yourself back onto level terms and then you still then manage to go and lose the game. But it's happening this year. You think of Pittodrie. It is happening. And there seems to be, I don't know. They're just 1 minute. There's a lot of flip flopping from Philippe Clement. I do believe that. You only need to look at the signings. You only need to look at you take yesterday for example, Conor Barron and Bijrami, who was Rangers star signing in the summer. He was the one that came in for big money. And when Rangers need a result, they need a performance the second half. Barron and Bijrami are whipped off to be replaced by 2 players that Philippe Clement has inherited. My point being that all we hear from Philippe Clement is this new squad. I mean, it's not the truth. And there is something in the football department at Rangers right now not working.
They go to Motherwell next. Motherwell ran them very close at Hampden in the league early in the season. They ran them very close at Hampden in the Premier Sports Cup semi-final. They will be smarting after losing at Celtic Park. And even if Andy Halliday doesn't celebrate a goal against Rangers, there are a few in that Motherwell team would like to.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've got to look at Motherwell, and Rangers can moan about decisions going against them in recent times, but I tell you what, so can Motherwell. You look at some of the things that have went against them in recent times, and Motherwell, considering they had been on a little bad run, they've managed to come out it, and and then with 2 wins and a draw in recent times, obviously went to Celtic Park and lost 4. But you kind of it will be a difficult game for Rangers because I look at the grounds that Rangers have struggled at. The physical side of it, Rangers struggle to deal with. And Motherwell are a physical team. They will ask questions of Rangers, whether it's set plays, they'll get the ball in the box, they'll throw the big guys up. Call it old school all you want. That's the way that they'll look to try and win the game of football. And if that works for them, then Rangers are going to have to deal with it. They will ask questions of Rangers defensively in terms of they're going to have to stand up to their size and see if I just think from Rangers, they're never in control of a game of football. Everything, you might see 10, 15 minutes and then everybody clings on to that 10, 15 minutes. Oh, but we were good for that period of time. But the reality is, if you go back to the first half against St Mirren, I mean, it was really, really, really poor. And then you have a 15, 20-minute spell the second half, you get back into it. But then towards the end of the game, I mean, for all Rangers' dominance in that 15, 20-minute period, it looked as if come the last 5 minutes of the game, there was only going to be one team winner. And that's exactly what happened.
They hadn't lost at St Mirren, I think, since 2011. They haven't lost in the league at Fir Park since 2002. James McFadden scored the winner when he had hair, when I had hair, and when you had your original hair. What will it mean to Philippe Clement if they were to lose at Fir Park on Sunday?
I'll correct you, the Faddy had the rat's tail, didn't he?
He did.
You know, so...
nice
what would it mean?
Job as well.
Eh?
He had a nice wee dye job as well.
Everything there, he had everything going on. That's why his fell out. What would it mean to Philippe Clement? Oh, well, he's under severe pressure already for me. I think that's the case. If you lose there, Celtic have got a home game that you'd expect them to win. I mean, it's 12 points right now. It could quite easily be more ahead of an Old Firm game in the second. You've got... Roger, you can't dress it up any other way. Philippe Clement, if you look at the guys he's replaced, well, the guy he replaced and you know the guy that Michael Beale replaced, both of them lost their job when the gap was less. So I mean, it's getting to the stage now where if Rangers are seriously if want to be taken serious about challenging Celtic and closing that gap, then this ain't working, and something's going to have to give.
Something might have to give. On the other side of the M8 as well, you were at Tynecastle yesterday for the Edinburgh derby. Hearts losing at home to Hibs. They're now second bottom again. They're in that relegation playoff place, Boyd. We're assuming they'll get out it, but will they?
Well, I think I've been clear on that all along. I still felt as if Hearts, with the players have had, and they were still contenders for the top six. And I mean, there's not a lot in it, but you look at back-to-back home victories ahead of yesterday in terms of the league. Obviously, drew that Europa Conference game, which wasn't great. But after that performance, when we speak about how bad Rangers were in the first 45 yesterday, Hearts were worse. I mean, I've never seen anything like that in a derby. They allowed Hibs to play, never got close to them, never asked any questions of them. Same again, came out the second half and made a fist of it, for 15, 20 minutes. And then again, if there was one team going to nick it, it was Hibs. You look at Hearts, and there is no doubt, I think, since Neil Critchley's came in, they have picked up a little bit. They've been able to pick up points. But similar to Rangers in a way that because it was so bad, it could only really go in one direction. There is no doubt that they need to get players in. It's going to be a big window for them January. You just look at Hearts, and the recruitment there has been really poor as well. The players, they seem to all be the same kind. When you go to your bench, when Critchley goes to his bench, he's making the same type of substitutions. The same players to come on and replace the ones that's already there. And there's not really any difference. I think in terms of pace, I mean, Vargas obviously didn't start yesterday, but he's the only one that you'd think has got, and I wouldn't say it's blistering pace, but he's the only one that's got a little bit of sharpness in that final third. I think, Wilson's a young boy who there's obviously been links with him, links for him to move away from Tynecastle, and he turned that down because he wanted to concentrate on first team football. And I think, it's very unfair for a club like the size of Hearts to pin their hopes on a young 17-year-old. Yeah. And Lauren Shanklin, listen, he obviously, the Dundee game a couple of weeks ago gets a couple of goals, and you think, okay, here we go, Lauren Shanklin's back scoring goals. But, he has struggled this season for whatever reason. As I said, I don't know. You're a human being, and sometimes when, your contract's coming to an end and you don't know what's going to be happening next, and there's a lot of change. There's going to be a lot of change at Hearts in the near future as well. It can play with your mind, and it does look as if, but it's easy when you've got a goal scorer there to say create opportunities. But Hearts, I mean, and I know we speak about the amount of entries and crosses into the box, but a lot of them are just aimless balls fired across the front of the goal. There's no real quality in it. But when you flip that the other side and you think of the ball that Cadden puts in, what a finish from Gale to win an Edinburgh derby. But, back to Hearts, they've got serious work to do in January. I still think they will get away from the relegation zone. In terms of that top six, you've got to look at it now and think to yourself that, I had written off Hibs, but they've improved. And the run they're on, one defeat in 6, isn't it? And that was against Celtic. And there was some tough games in there when you consider going to Pittodrie, go to Tynecastle. David Grace can turn the corner.
They're a fan-owned club, Hearts. Would it worry you the disconnect there is between the fans and the players? Because you heard it after the Petro Cup game, you've heard it in other matches this season, the abuse Lawrence Shanklin took in Bruges. I think he was jeered yesterday in the hospitality suites after the game. There does appear to be an unhappiness there throughout the club.
Yeah, I think that when you look at, obviously, the new football department will take over shortly, and there will be change. There's no getting away from it. I don't think Tony Bloom and his organisation is going to, accept this. There will be improvement, and there'll be a lot of players, probably will head for the exit door at Tynecastle, and rightly so, because it's not been good enough. As you say there, in terms of the fans, they pay their money and they can voice their opinions whatever way they want. But there's one thing I'll add to it, Roger. I've been through at Tynecastle a lot of times as a player, as a pundit. Yesterday was probably the quietest I have ever heard it. I get the fact, Hibs scored an early goal and, their tails were up, but usually even when that happens, the home team will get behind, the home fans will get behind the team. It was very, very quiet, and that would be a worry, because, as I said, it's a bit they've just accepted that it's mediocre, but it has to improve.
Talking of big teams toiling, Aberdeen, Kelly 4, Aberdeen 0. There wasn't that much excitement in that part of Ayrshire since 24 hours earlier when you get your selection box. What's going on with the Dundee Dons?
Well, I think that, at the start, it was quite hard to criticise Aberdeen because they were churning out results. But the reality is, the performances, they were there in some games, but they got a lucky breaks, and a couple other ones. And by the way, take nothing away from them, they still won the game. I think now they're in a little bit of a run where you've got to say, no wins in 7 in the Scottish Premiership is virtually impossible to do. When you look at some of the teams and how poor some of the other ones have been. So I think for Aberdeen and Jimmy Tilleen, they got all the plaudits at the start of the season, but they're struggling right now. I'll go back to it though, Roger. I think Aberdeen's problems are in that forward area. I think that obviously with a couple of injuries and Nisbet's not really, he came in and he's not really been at the level that everybody thought. You look at Ambrose, and I don't think he's ever going to lead the line for Aberdeen, is he? Let's be realistic. No. So that forward area is an issue for Aberdeen. But you then look at it and say losing 4 goals, is a worry as well. But I tell you what, Jimmy Tilleen and Aberdeen might actually just be glad it was 4, because Kilmarnock absolutely battered them and had it could quite easily have been 7 or 8 with the chance. It was good chances when you seen the highlights and the opportunities. Decent save, decent blocks, poor finishing. But I think Aberdeen, would have been quite. They wouldn't have been happy. But when you analyse the game, they might have been relieved just to go back up that road when it was only 4.
He is softly spoken, Jimmy Tillen, but it was strong words, softly spoken after the game. He did go after the players. Would you expect a reaction at Tannadice on Sunday night, given that another defeat would see Dundee United come to within 3 points of Aberdeen in that race for 3rd place? Yeah,
I think we'll touch on the job that Jim Goodwin and Dundee United have done, because it's been excellent. But for Aberdeen, they had themselves in a really, really good position. And listen, Roger, they still are, considering where they were last season. It's been a poor run from them. They'll be hoping to get back to winning ways, but it's not easy. It's not easy to win games of football in this league. But you look at the teams that Aberdeen have faced recently. It's teams that you would expect them to go and turn over, and they've not been able to do it. Or if they're not going to go and beat them, at least hang in there, get a draw, and then move on to the next game. That, as I said, and you were there. Kilmarnock, 4-0 was it could quite easily have been a lot more, and that would be the worrying part for Aberdeen. It's they started the season very well and got a lot of plaudits, but they're going to get criticism flying their way right now, and rightly so, because it's not been good enough in recent times.
You talk about worries, you talk about not good enough. Nobody was more worried than St Johnstone supporters and Simo Valakari. They blew a lead at home to Dundee United yesterday. They are now rock bottom, the only team below Hearts. Do you worry for them, Kris?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think when we looked at the two that were, when Hibs and Hearts were the bottom two, you can always felt as if they're going to get out it. The two that you felt as if were going to get dragged back into it would be Ross County and St Johnstone. But when you look at St Johnstone, obviously beat Kilmarnock, and then you're thinking maybe there's just a little chink, a light here for St Johnstone where they could maybe push on. But I mean, they've lost 4 of the last 5 after that. That draw against Aberdeen, but you look at St Johnstone and they go ahead yesterday, and then Dundee United find a way to break. But it looked as if, I mean, the goals that they lost. I mean, Middleton, it's a fantastic strike from him, but there's nobody even gets close to him. The next one, Dalby again with a head. That's a good ball in the box, but there's nobody. It seems to be as if there's a softness about St Johnstone, which was never the case before. And Simo Valakari is going to have to find a way to start getting results, because they are bottom. Ross County have went away from home and won. We know how good Ross County can be at home, getting results. So if they start to pick up some points away from home, it would be worrying for St Johnstone.
Transfer window opens next week. Is Simo Valakari just desperate to get to there so he can maybe get a goalie, get a centre half, stiffen up the team that struggled so much in the first half?
Yeah, I mean, I think like everybody else is down there. I mean, I'd imagine every manager would think, can I just get to January, get maybe 1 or 2, 3 players in that can make a difference? But the reality is that a lot of the times, if you're going to get players in January, they're available because they've not been playing. You're then looking at another period of time before they're up to match sharpness. There's for St Johnstone, they need to find a way to be more compact and hard to beat. I mean, there's not really been a lot of. It's been the odd goal they've lost by in the games, but it's the way they've been losing the goals. So it might be a case of just trying to stiffen it up a little bit and be more rigid and hard to break down, because there is no doubt that Simo Valakari has changed. The way that St Johnstone fans are looking at the game now, the way the players are looking at it, and he's probably changed it in a way that a lot of these players thought, I can't play like this, but there is a confidence there that they'll go and do it. And if that is, if that confidence is still there when you're losing games, if they can maybe just pick up a couple of wins, you might see them picking up some points. Picking up in the performances, you might see them picking up some points, but they're going to have to find it very quickly, because Celtic Park Sunday
afternoon, yeah. So you look at lower reaches, as you say, early in the season we spoke about Hibs and Hearts down there. Now we're speaking St Johnstone and Ross County down there. One team we haven't spoken about, and we haven't spoken about them down there since they came back into the league, are Tony Docherty's Dundee. But they're in a bad place just now. They lost 3-0 at home to County yesterday. Will they be looking over their shoulders?
Well, I think the fact that they go to Paisley next, and then they've got a Dundee derby as well. It's 2 fixtures that no really places you want to go. You look at St Mirren and the way that they were able to bully and turn over Rangers yesterday. It's not an easy place to go. And Dundee, the way they lost the goals yesterday as well. I get Tony Dock trying to change it and offer more of a threat going forward, but defensively they were vulnerable. To lose 3 goals to Ross County, no disrespect to them, but it was over a year since they'd won on the road, and I know that you can read into these stats, but the reality is it was a different season, and there's new players arrived at Ross County, so it's not been as long for this group, shall we say. But you're always reminded that it's been so long that they haven't won away from home, so they'll be delighted to get the 3 points there. But for Dundee, I think, as you say, there's not really been any negativity at Dundee since they've came back up. Performed really well. They're now on the slide, and there's not a lot in it. But the opposite across the street. I mean, Jim Goodwin in Dundee United. Wow, again to turn it around. Obviously off the back of that draw against Celtic the weekend. Dundee United have been. We speak about Jimmy Tillene and the impact that he's had at Aberdeen. We speak about Brendan Rodgers, who started the season. Stephen Robertson gets the odd mention here and there. But I tell you what, Jim Goodwin, coming up for the championship, and I had them down as going, straight back down or definitely in that playoff position, because I didn't feel as if they were equipped to come up and perform it the way they have. But it just shows you once you go on a run, they've been very good, and they just continue to churn out results. But performance of the weekend for me, Roger, Kelly, unbelievable.
Even ahead of Celtic, we haven't touched on the champions. The leaders 4-0 at home to Motherwell. As you say, they've got St Johnstone top versus bottom next on Sunday afternoon before they go to Ibrox next Thursday. It's all looking good again for Brendan Rodgers' side after the little stumble at Tannadice. Yeah,
well, it was a penalty to Celtic as well. There'll be many people moaning about that. I just hope Yang's okay. Looked a real sore one. I hope he's okay. But listen, I think Celtic at home, they're very difficult to stop. The way that they move the ball, they create opportunities. The goals that they score after that, it takes a little Nick Coons, but Hatatis as well. Good strike from the edge of the box. Celtic, they're comfortable winners. You expected that. I would expect the same again on Sunday, and they'll be, Brendan Rodgers will just be hoping that he can get Alistair Johnston back for the weekend. That'll give him some minutes ahead of the Old Firm game next week. But you kind of get the feeling that Celtic, there's only one thing going to happen, and that's they're going to widen the gap from them to Rangers in second, because the strength and depth they've got. And I think as well, Brendan Rodgers, in terms of rotating the squad but at the right time, but also the little tweaks that he makes during the game as well to make sure that his team gets over the line or finds that way to break the opposition down, albeit it didn't happen at Tannadice. But Celtic in a very good place right now, and as I said, I just hope that Yang is okay.
Boydie, a season of goodwill to all men, as we say. Thank you very much. We will be back on Monday with the final Go Ballistic of 2024, looking back on the Sunday action. It's great to see you. I'll let you back to those turkey sandwiches.
Thank you very much.